It doesn't happen all at once. There's no alarm that goes off, no warning sign that flashes in your face. It's quieter than that. It happens in a small decision. The alarm clock rings. You hit snooze. The work gets hard. You delay it. The conversation feels uncomfortable. You avoid it. And in those moments, you're not just making a decision, you're choosing to do things a certain way.
Empowering you to live a life fully charged. This is 7,000 Volts, Living an Electrified Life with LJ Tucker.
Welcome back to another episode of 7,000 Volts. I am your host, LJ Tucker. I've learned something over the years, throughout business, throughout life, through raising a family, and through moments that tested me at my core. You don't wake up one day and arrive at easy street. You build your way there. The question is, which version did you build? Most people think easy street is the goal. Less stress, less pressure, more comfort. And on the surface, that sounds right. But what most people don't realize is that there are two versions of easy street. The first one is the one that's chosen early. It's built on avoiding things, avoiding discipline, avoiding responsibilities, avoiding growth. It feels good in the moment. Somebody just touch yourself and hold yourself like that. It feels good in that moment. But over time, it costs you. It costs you opportunities. It costs you confidence. It costs you the life you could have lived. Then there's a second version, the one that's earned, the one that's built over time. I can't tell you how many times I talk to people and just in their conversation, they're looking for easy street. They're looking for the road less traveled. They're looking for that road that leads them to easy street with no work. They're looking for the get rich quick scheme. I have met people in life that's looking for that version that I just explained. They want life to fall out of the sky in their laps without putting much effort in. You get athletes like that. You have people that want to show up and be the next Michael Jordan without going to the gym, working out and practicing and honing their skill, working on their craft. This is why as a father, I'm constantly on my kids, whatever they do. I said, give it your best. Don't just show up without practicing. My son in Michael's in piano, as I said before, and he just wanted to show up. I said, son, you got to practice. You got to practice 20 minutes a day. And because I have to enforce that as the enforcer, one day he'll appreciate being able to have the skills of piano because I explained to him this second version. And the second version is something like this. It's the one that's earned. It's the one that's built over time. This version doesn't come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from facing it. This version comes from doing things a certain way consistently over time. I remember a season in my life where things started to feel heavy. The days were long. The pressure was real. Responsibilities was just stacking. And I can hear it, that voice. You've done enough for today. You can slow down. It's not that serious. And if I'm being brutally honest with you, it didn't sound like a bad voice. It sounded reasonable, comfortable, justified. I was ready to take my boots off and head home. But that's when I realized something. The most dangerous voice in your life doesn't always sound negative. It doesn't sound like it's not your friend. It sounds like relief. It sounds like, man, that's just what I needed to hear. That's the voice that leads you to easy street. And if you listen to it long enough, you'll start doing everything a certain way. A way that avoids pressure. A way that avoids growth. A way that avoids becoming who you're supposed to be. When a certain way becomes your life, here's how it really works. You don't become stuck overnight. You become stuck by repeating those patterns. Thinking the same way, responding the same way, avoiding the same things. At some point, that way becomes normal. And once it becomes normal, you stop questioning it. You wake up, move through your day, react to situations all on autopilot. And that's a dangerous place to be, is on autopilot. Not because you chose it today, but because you've been choosing it a certain way for a long time. You know, I used to call doing things a certain way making bad choices. But in life, there's no such thing as a bad choice. We may look at it, somebody from the outside looking in, oh, he's just making bad decisions after bad decisions. And I have a rule in my office. I call it the BD rule, and I call it the bad decision rule. But the truth of the matter, when I did things in a certain way, whether we call it a bad decision or a good decision, guess what? I did not get the same results of doing things in a certain way. So I say it doing it in a certain way for a couple reasons. Because there's no decision that you make that's going to make you a bad person, or that decision a bad decision. It's going to make you live a certain life that you didn't intend to live if you do things in a certain way. And that's just because your life. It's a reflection of that pattern of decisions that you make in your life. For myself, I started noticing patterns, not just in my own life, but in people around me. I call it the 5 C's. These are the signs that you see drifting towards the wrong version of Easy Street. Complaining. It's too hot. It's too hard. The situation doesn't change, but your mindset does. Criticizing. Oh, who's been there? Tearing other people down instead of building them up. Just finding a reason, looking for a reason to criticize somebody. For whatever reason, I don't have the answer for that. Comparing, looking at someone else's life instead of growing your own. Oh, he must have did something wrong. It's funny when I hear, when words get back to me, what people are saying behind my back, people that used to know me. Oh man, he's got to be doing something wrong. He must be selling drugs. There's no way he's able to do that by doing what he does. He's doing something illegal. Hey, I can take it, whatever. Keep it moving. Catastrophizing. Expecting the worst before anything even happens. We're going to put that one on the screen. That's a tongue twister, but it needs to be said. The next C is controlling. Trying to manage everything instead of focusing on what's in your hands. Sometimes you just got to let go of that control. Just open your hand and just let it go. Every one of these is a habit, a pattern, a way of thinking, a certain way. And if you don't check it, it becomes your lifestyle. There's a difference between living and experiencing life. Most people are living on repeat, autopilot. I talk about this in my book about the church I grew up in, the different churches we grew up in. And it's like a life cycle repeating itself. You go in and we give money. We need more money. These pastors' anniversaries and stuff. And it's like, these are places where you get stuck and you have to wake up, not only to smell the coffee, but to check your life on repeat. Are you experiencing life? Are you walking to the park? Are you enjoying life? And I say walking to the park because when I was incarcerated, I was on cleanup duty. And one of the things that really pierced my heart the most, I seen this older couple. They had to be in their 80s or 90s. And they was experiencing life. They was walking around the circle on the water, holding hands. And they had an ice cream cone in their hand. Just laughing, just enjoying life. I'm like, man, that's a beautiful thing. And at that moment, I said, I want that. And I believe I'm on my way because I've been married for over 17 years now to my wife, Adele. The reality is I'm setting myself up for moments like that. I'm not trying to rush it. I am not trying to rush it, but I'm setting myself up for those type of moments in life so I can experience life. I can experience things outside of money. I can experience life outside of just being busy and doing things. I can experience life as a father, training and teaching my kids. That's experiencing life. You know, my cousin Tiger Joe that I talk about in the book, and I mentioned this to him one time, and he got very upset to me because at this time I wasn't married, and I had to fight like hell to get visitation time with my son. And here at the time, he had 3 kids. I only had 1. And his kids lived in the home with him. He was a good father. He stayed. His kids were in home with him, but he was always on the go. I said, "Man, you don't know how good you got it." He said, "What you mean?" I said, "You're right there with your kids every single day." And me, I barely get my son, but I spend more time with my son than you spend with your kids, and you're there with them every day. He said, "What that's supposed to mean?" And he didn't get it at the time, but he got it later on. But that's the point. You can be present and not be present at the same time. And that's not just a metaphor, that's life. You can be present and not present. You can be there, but you spend no time. You spend time on the go and you're on autopilot and you miss it. You miss the whole experience of life. That's living life on repeat. You wake up, you go through the motions, handle responsibilities, repeat. You wake up, go through the motions, repeat, and you're back on autopilot. And you don't even, it's seamless. Some people, you pass by the house in the mail, it's sticking at the mailbox where it hasn't been checked for weeks because they're on autopilot. They don't even pay attention to it because they're not present. They're not aware. They're not engaged. Are you that person? And if so, why? Because you're not operating a certain way without thinking about it. And when you live like that, you miss life. Don't get to the end of your life and realize that you missed your entire life. Oh, I wish I had more time. I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that. Being in prison gave me a different perspective. I have no intentions or anything of going back. I don't wish prison or being incarcerated to anybody. But one of the things out of the many that it did for me at a young age, it allowed me to appreciate freedom. It allowed me to appreciate the privileges that I have and to take advantage of it. Because you don't want to miss life. Because when you miss life, you miss the growth. You miss the moments. You miss the meanings because you're on autopilot. Get off of autopilot. The shift is choosing a different way. The shift doesn't happen in some big decision. It's small. It's small. It starts small. Just like I talked about in other episodes. You catch the thought. You challenge that thought. You replace that thought. That's too hard. No, that's growth. It gets no simpler than that. I'll do it later. No, I'll do it now. Get rid of that procrastination. I don't feel like it. No, I'm doing it right away. And just like that, you've changed something. You've chosen to respond in a different way. And when you change your way, you change your life. It gets no simpler than that. The hard road isn't about suffering. It's about building. It's about choosing discipline when it's inconvenient. Choosing growth when it's uncomfortable. Choosing consistency when it's boring. And when you do that long enough, something powerful happens. I'm living proof. The things that used to feel hard starts to feel normal. The discipline becomes automatic. The mindset becomes stronger. The decision becomes clearer. And over time, life becomes easier. It's almost like cheating on a test. But not because you avoided difficulty, because you trained yourself. You trained yourself through it. The truth about Easy Street, here's the truth most people miss. Easy Street isn't bad. It just depends on how you got there. If you got there by avoiding life, it would cost you. But if you got there by building yourself, it'll reward you. There's the fundamental two differences. Peace, clarity, control, not because life is perfect, but because you learn how to handle it. So here's what I want you to think about. What is a certain way you've been living? I'd like to hear about it. Say something in the comments. What pattern has repeated without realizing it? What patterns in your life that you're just repeating and you don't even realize it? And most importantly, what happened if you choose a different way? What do you have to lose? Because at the end of the day, we all are living results of what we repeatedly done in a certain way. Don't chase easy street. Earn it, my friends. Be careful, be aware, and always stay electrified. God bless.
This has been 7,000 Volts, Living an Electrified Life, available on YouTube and your favorite podcast app. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. For more information, visit us on the web at ljtucker.com. Remember, stay electrified.